Hi, hello, how are you? Amanda, Seint artist. We're going to talk about Seint Makeup, but today I want to talk about color correcting. Everything in this palette is foundational coverage, okay? My blushes, my contours, my bronzers, they are all foundational coverage. But I got stuff, okay? I've got hyperpigmentation, I've got acne scarring, dark circles, hormone, I got stuff. Okay, so there's a few steps that I take that work for me, so I tell you. And I'm going to tell you why I use things, how to use other things. So we're going to be using 3D makeup. We're also going to bust out the Demi, but I'm going to show you how I like it and how to make Demi work with what I got. So stick with me here. We're going to get into this. So I like to use the blend brush. This is my ride or die. This is a light application brush. If you don't like full coverage makeup, this is your brush for everything. But this is great for correcting because what we're doing is color correcting. We're not color covering. I have oily skin. Some days it's a little dry. Today's one of those little dry days. I use Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I love it. I've been using it for a long time. I've had this thing for about a year, and I sometimes do my makeup multiple times a day. Multiple times a day, and that's all right. So we're gonna get into this. So I just put the primer on. It gets a little sticky, and then it just absorbs in. It's silicone free, so I don't have to wait 20 to 30 minutes to dig in to my cream makeup. Okay, let's dig into my cream makeup. So we're gonna use the blend brush. We're gonna get into this, and I am going to go with these two colors here. The first one, Aspen Contour. This one is gonna correct my redness. Now we are correcting, not covering. So this is not going to make my face this color. All the makeup in here is crazy pigmented. It's 80% pigmentation, which traditional makeup is 18%. So it's a big difference. You get to use less makeup and you still get amazing coverage. But you got to keep that in mind when you're color correcting, not covering. So I'm going to use the small end of the blend brush. We're going to tap. Always tap into your cream makeup. I'm going to tap into Aspen. And then I'm going to take all this redness right here and I am going to feather it. It's the tip of the bristles, and I'm just going over all that redness. And you see the way that it just mutes down. We're going to go right here. We're going to add to here. If there's a bit of a gray tone to it, don't worry. We're still putting makeup on top, so it's okay. But this is a veil amount. You should still see your spots. And the reason I like using this is because I also have large pores right in this area. So when I'm feathering this on, this is going to help camouflage the pores, and it's muted my redness, okay? You can still see the spots, but they're not red. And the reason I like using something like Aspen is because it's dense, whereas Demis are creamy. So when you put something like Demi on, you can easily wipe it off. With something like Aspen and you're laying a makeup on top of it, a cream makeup, you want it to stay. Going over my redness right here with Aspen. You want it to stay where it is, and you want it to stay all day. Demi looks great when you put your makeup on top of it at first. It doesn't, in my opinion, it does not have the longevity of the day. So when you have problematic skin like I do, and you have a hormonal breakout or redness, I find that it's gonna peek through towards the end of the day. That's my skin, so this is why I do things the way that I do them. I always recommend something dense because of longevity. I like the way this holds my makeup. It stays where it is and corrects, but it also holds my makeup I've laid on top of it. It holds it there all day, and it's so nice because it still is living with my skin. Okay, I have a little bit of redness over here, but see this pesky little melasma spot? We're gonna go into that next. I am going to get into my nose. I can't remember if I did that. I'm a little red up here from tweezing. Now we're gonna go in on the big end, and we're gonna go into suede. We're gonna tap into suede on the fluffy end because we're gonna camouflage. And instead of muting, we're camouflaging. A lot of people like Demi here. This is right on the track of my contour, my bronzer, my blush. So if I put Demi here, because it's so creamy, it's going to lift and it's going to mix and it's going to stop Demiing my spot. Here's the thing with Demi, and I would really need people to understand this. Demi was meant to be a standalone product. It was meant to be color science for no makeup, and it was never intended to be used with 3D. Yes, it is, and yes, it's good. But I think that there's a way of working with it to make it work with your 3D, but it was never meant to be used with it, which is why it moves if you put it under. And that's my opinion. So we're gonna go around. We put it on the fluffy and we're gonna go around the melasma. the hyperpigmentation, the age spot, the sunspot, the spot you don't want to name. It's like Voldemort for your face. We're just going around it, and I am draping this up because I have melasma coming in all up here. It's basically everywhere the sun hits me, I have melasma coming in. Okay, so we're just draping this around just like that. And it's just gonna help hide it, okay? It's also dense, so guess what else it's gonna do? It's gonna hold your makeup and it's gonna stay. Over here, I have a little one coming in and I have some more guys over here. So we're gonna do the same thing. This is also for balance. I did it on one side. You should probably do it on the other side. You wouldn't draw on one eyebrow. You wouldn't put on one thing of eye makeup. You wouldn't do two different eyeshadows. It's two sides. We treat as two sides. Okay, so I'm just draping this up around the eye just like that. And you can use suede as a contour. I've done it. It's beautiful. So if you want to and you don't want to buy an extra color, if you have a more fair skin tone, it's a really beautiful contour. Okay, the only place I Demi, I'm going to grab the spot brush, is with Y01 for my under eyes. So I'm going to grab some, put it on, and then I'm going to go right here on my inner corner. That's where I get dark. When you're working with Demi, it's not about camouflaging or draping. It's about point correcting. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm using the right word. Probably not. I'm not the smartest crayon in the box. I'm even going to put some right there, and you'll see by correcting this spot, it's going to go away, but once I put my makeup on, it's going to show again. So this will be a good example. Okay, we're just going to take that fluffy end with no Demi, and we're just going to blend this down, and it's going to correct. It's also going to brighten, and that's why I like this, because I like a good bright under eye. I'm a sucker for it. All right, I'm going to grab some more. We're going to do the other eye. See, I get nice and dark right here, and then I get dark here, and then I come down my trough. Understanding what's darkness and what's shadowing makes a difference also. This is shadowing, and we all have it, and you can't correct it. It's texture. Texture is texture is texture, and we can camouflage it. We can make it worse, but you can't make it go away, except in a picture with airbrushing and filters. Okay. So I have a nice bright under eye. I'm ready to put my makeup on. So when you're correcting, there is a method to the madness of how to apply your makeup. I'm going to use the buff brush today, and I'm also going to use, no, I'm not. I'm probably going to use a few brushes because why not? I'm going to use the detail brush as always, but we're going to apply my main highlight with the buff brush. I use June right now as my main highlight. If you want a color match, message me and we can get you color match. There's a form to fill out. It's great. Okay, I am only putting my main highlight here, and when I do, I'm going to tap it, and especially right up here. This is where I have all that discoloration I corrected, so I'm covering it here, bringing it down, and I'm just putting this on the lower half of my face. I don't need to worry about it being even or perfectly blended. I'm going to correct some redness with my June, and it's just a good color. This is going to even out my skin tone. Evening out my skin tone, bringing it down right here, making sure I move to the creases instead of applying directly. Otherwise you get gathering and caking. It's not fun. I have some coloration here. We're just gonna bring this down. And this is the only area I need my highlight. I don't need to turn my face all one color. Going in, stamping in, going under my cheekbones here, and then just, you could still see that little spot we camouflaged. And then I'm gonna come up, grab if I need. What's nice about creams is these all work together. They're all formulated the same. So it's makeup, not magic. So if you think your makeup is gonna stay put all day, you're using the wrong kind of makeup. That is not letting your skin live and breathe. It's doing something totally different. And it's probably maturing your skin. It may look good, but it's probably maturing your skin. I like this because it's hydrating and moisturizing, great for all skin types. So good. Okay, so I've just evened out my skin tone, and now I can go in and apply the goods. When you have a blemish, put your makeup on as if you don't. You may end up covering it without over applying. It's really great. If you ever find that you have over applied, grab a fluffy brush, a kabuki brush, a blush and bronzer brush, and go over and just tap. when you have color corrected first, tapping is going to be your live and breathe application. You do not want to wipe. You're going to move that product. So stippling it on is key. Okay, contour. We're going to take the big end of the detail brush. I'm using olive. I love olive. Olive and indigo are my favorites. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do our forehead. We have natural structure in our forehead. I have no makeup on my forehead. I just draped some of that suede up. So we're going to look at natural shadow. You see reflecting light here. You see some shadowing over here. All we're going to do is apply to those areas. So contour is mimicking a shadow. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to create dimension with a shadow tone, like a cool toned olive contour. I like warmth in my skin, so I use olive. It has a little bit of warmth, but we have a lot of contours to choose from. A lot of makeup companies do not. We do, and they will check anyone's box. And that's it. Look at that. I have full coverage, dimension. It looks natural. It looks nice. All right, we're going to go in on the side here. Push, push, push. And I am going to do my cheeks. Now remember, I have a lot of correcting on my cheeks, and this is why I don't like Demi. Not that I don't like Demi, but I don't like Demi under my makeup because it's going to move when I'm doing stuff like this. So I'm tapping this into my cheekbone. I come above the shadow right at the base of my cheekbone. And I bring it up because I want to give myself some lift. Okay, we have that spot there. And so we're just going to tap over it. I think olive is a really great contour if you have melasma. It's a really good contour for if you have that issue because it does help to camouflage it a little more, whereas indigo or Astoria can sometimes deepen it. So olive is a really pretty color. I'm under blending my contour on purpose because once you add your bronzer and your blush, it helps blend it together and down and looks flawless. So we're going to under blend. Here, I'm just going to draw a line nice and messy on either side of my nose. Here's my best trick for learning to contour. Go all over this puppy. Focus it on the outsides and do your main outlines and then bridge it across. If you have a bumpy nose, I have a bumpy nose. If you have a crooked nose, this is how you want to contour. Turn that whole thing brown. And then you're going to take this small end of the detail brush, pinch it into a line, and you're going to tap into your brightening. And then you're going to go down and you're going to draw a straight line. Get that tip, just like that. Pull this up. We're going to grab a little more, and now we're going to go between. So we have that reflecting light. We're going to tap that right into that area, pull it over the brows. Grab if you need. I'm using Versailles. I love Versailles. If you're June or lighter, this is a really good one to try. And I'm just pulling this up towards my contour. Your brightening is like a concealer. Using my finger. And so it's going to be a couple shades lighter because it's supposed to give the illusion of, look at that. That's a good straight nose. Good straight nose. And so this is supposed to give the illusion of reflected light, but it's also, once this meets up with your contour, it just creates balance, which is why I didn't need to take that June main highlight up here. This works really well if your lower face is a different color than your forehead. Happens a lot in the summer. So that's a good tip right there. Okay, so our nose is done, our cheekbones are done. We're gonna get our jaw. I always recommend blending as you go, otherwise you forget. And I have walked out of many places with this not blended and nobody tells you. Nobody. Nobody. Except your husband. Okay. In front of the earlobe and down. When you go in front of the earlobe, it just creates this structure in your jaw. This helps to camouflage any jowliness or any chins you might have. Go behind your chin. You know where everybody has that scar? You go right there and pull down. Just like that. And this just gives you really great structure. But you see how I'm just evened out. I have dimension on my face. It's so good. All right, we're gonna get into bronzer. We're going in with the blush and bronzer brush because it's good. The bronzer is creamy, so it's gonna pick up quick. So here's what I'd say. Stamp each side of your forehead. What I'm doing is creating warmth. This is gonna give the illusion of the sun. And we're gonna put this on. This is why I say Demi shouldn't go under your 3D. Look at all this movement it would have hit when I put my main highlight on, I've put my contour on. Now I'm going in and I'm blending that contour down just a little bit into this bronzer. Same over here. So when you have Demi, there's just no way it can do what it needs to do. I always smile a little. I like to bring my bronzer really low, and I like to make it a part of my blush. It's just pretty. And then I always take my fluffy brush and pull light to dark. And it just gives everything a really good marrying. This is like the money brush, I'm telling you. I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna dip it into bronzer, and I'm gonna go right here. And I'm doing this because my neck is always lighter than my face. So this is just a bridge. I'm creating a bridge from one side of my face to the next. I have to keep my hair over here. It didn't want to curl today on this side. It's being very temperamental. Whatever's left, I just pull up just a little bit right here. Okay, let's do blush. I'm doing my under eyes last because I get a little out of hand. So I'm gonna use 2 colors. I always use 2 colors. If you have rosacea, if you have acne scarring, melasma, and you like those bright tones, I'm using these 2 colors. This is Tiger Lily, so stinking pretty. It looks really orange. It has a pinkiness to it, trust me, you'll see. But because I have that acne scarring, it always wants to pull through when I'm using a vibrant color like sangria or saffron, baby watermelon. If I'm wanting to use a bolder color, I have to pair it with something like Frenchie, Saint Tropez, Audrey, Taffy. I have to pair it with them because it will pull my scarring through. So I take Frenchie, which is a beautiful, beautiful color on its own. So if you're getting it to pair, it's also great on its own. I'm gonna smile and I'm gonna put this on the apples of my cheeks, just like a clown. We're gonna do clown circles right here. This is gonna combat my scarring from pulling through while I use something pretty like Tiger Lily. I just tried this for the first time yesterday. It's so pretty. Look at how bright and the way it transfers onto the skin. It's so good. Popping this up on the top part of my cheekbones. We're gonna take the blush and bronzer brush and I'm gonna go on to the darkest part, the Tiger Lily first. I push it up into the temples, smile, and I'm gonna bring it down into Frenchie. These are really pretty. Frenchie is just like a subtle version of Tiger Lily. Super pretty. So we're gonna bring this up, we're gonna tap this down, just like that. We're gonna go boop, boop, boop with the fluffy end, just to pick it up and blend it out nicely. Okay, grabbing my blend brush, I have a hair across my eye somewhere. It's all the way across my face. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go with the small end. We're gonna go into Versailles. We're gonna look at our trough here. Everyone has this soft tissue. Less is more. Always less is more. Under the trough and up. Oop, there we go. Up and then over, tapping, up right here. Bringing it onto that orbital bone and then up and tapping. We did that Demi. This is just working with the Demi, which is why I think it works with the 3D. And then I'm gonna take that fluffy end and just marry. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. Look at that. Okay. On the little end, going in under that trough, bringing it up into that corner. This is the hardest part for me, is that corner, but less is more. Okay, you want very little. I'm pulling up right here to give my eyes some lift, push onto that orbital bone, and then up. And I always say this, treat your face like there's no problems, because this could cover everything. And you may not need additional help with Demi over top. It's super pigmented and good. So we're gonna look at all of our stuff. Look at how well covered that is. It's just good stuff, okay? We're gonna contour our lips by going right here. And then we're gonna grab a little more and go right here. Like that. I'm just gonna blend it out. Gonna line them. I'm gonna use MAC half red. We're gonna line them. And we're gonna line it like that. We're gonna go into Frenchie right here with my finger, and I'm gonna put this on. I want my lip liner. And we're gonna put this on. Look at how pretty this is. Half red is a very pretty deep mauve-y color. I don't think there's a lip and cheek like it, or I would use it, but I love it. It's so pretty. When you pair these together, look at how pretty that is. And then you can take something, I think I have my balm. This is Demi Balm. You can use Demi Gloss, lip conditioner, gloss, whatever you want, and go over the top. I find the satins can look a little dry on the lips, so I always put some kind of chapstick, conditioner, balm, gloss over top. Okay, so if you look at your makeup and you think, okay, it's not quite covering certain things. You can see that this spot came back through. So it is a red color, so I'm gonna go in with GY1, and we're just gonna go and tap on to that spot, directly on whatever's red, not around it, and tap it out, and it's gone. Demi is very easy. It's about pinpointing those colors. I use R1, which is this pink tone right here. We're gonna use R1, and we're gonna use the tiniest bit, and I have a little bit of a spot right here, and it's melasma that doesn't wanna cover up. And so I just take that R1 and I go over it and I tap it out, and it's gone. It's that easy. And then if the melasma were to come through, it's not really, there's a little spot right there. I could just tap that out. I will say this, whatever you think your color is when you're makeup free is not gonna be what it is when you have your 3D on. The makeup's gonna change the tone. So if you want a color match to use Demi over top of your 3D, send me a color match picture wearing your Seint makeup. That way I can color match it for that. It's a separate color when there's no makeup on top, but that's, ooh, I wanna get my pimple. Spot brush, that's the good brush. We're gonna go into a little bit of GY to get where it's really red. Tap it out. I'm gonna clean it off. I always keep a cleaning tile. And I'm gonna go into, I think that's OR, so a little more peach. And we're gonna go around it and tap it. And now it's gone. The texture, the raised part of it is still there. However, you can't take texture away, but you can keep it from being accentuated with makeup. You can put a concealer and a powder on this and it's gonna look flaky, dry, but Demi's really creamy, really good on top of your 3D. Otherwise, it's gonna pop right back out. Okay, that's it. Then you could take your setting powder. I have oily skin. I keep 2 going with that fluffy brush. Put your powder outside and bring it in. That way, it doesn't add texture. Putting powder directly on those problematic areas where there's already texture is gonna make more texture. Powder makes texture. So if you need to set it with a powder, do it, but start on the outsides and work in. I'm gonna spray it. I'm using Thank Me Later. I got it on Amazon. It's like $16. That's a damn good price. And then I'm gonna take that fluffy brush and just press it in. And this also helps with powder creating texture by spraying that on and pressing this in over that powder. All right. That's color correcting. Look at that. That's a good finish. This is a good finish. So this is why I color correct. This is why I use Demi on top. This is why I use Demi on my under eyes only. This is why I like density. This is why I recommend Aspen and Suede a lot, because if you're wearing makeup, it's where it's at. You want it to stay. It's the little difference that makes a difference for me. For me, I'm really insecure about my cheeks. I think everybody can see it, so when I'm doing this, I feel better. That's why I do it, and it stays all day. If it moves, you just press it out with your fingers and that's it. So that's it. Have a great day.